And one of the things I gotta tell you really quick before we dive into this is that I really had a great experience with these two when I lived in Thailand. I lived in Thailand for 1 year, and when I lived in Thailand, I lived by myself. I lived in a resort. So when I lived in a resort, the unique thing that I did was that I didn't watch TV because everything's in Thai. Now they did have a couple channels that were English, maybe one or two or something like that, but I just never had it on. They just played movies all the time. So I just really never had it on. So there wasn't that, for me, it wasn't that temptation to always have the TV on. You know what I mean? Like, when you're at home or whatever, maybe it's you have the TV on, maybe your kids have the TV on, or maybe your significant other has a TV on. So I didn't have that temptation at all. Just because of where I was, honestly, it was in a different language. So, so there was no temptation for that. And, that was kind of the first time in my life I kind of experienced that. Now I've lived by myself, like in LA or here in the States and stuff like that. But most of the time, if you have like a Roku TV or, a smart TV, lots of times I'll have the TV on or have YouTube playing, or I'm listening to something personal development, or sometimes watching a movie, or while I'm working, it's playing, or something like that. Something's always playing in the background. So Thailand is where I really tested these two things, just because I was by myself in my resort, by myself in the room, and no TV. So now I was doing things, sightseeing, doing all that stuff. But other than, being in my room, this is where I really kind of got, good results doing these two things. So what are they? Okay. Now they're easy, super easy. Okay. It's creating a morning routine and a bedtime routine. Okay. Now this isn't just any routine. Okay. Remember when we talked about the law of attraction. Okay. We want to control our mind. We want to control the how. Okay. We want to let go of the how, let go, and do all that jazz. We want to live in the end. Okay. Like I do a lot of Neville Goddard teaching, if I can pronounce his last name. And what he means, different prosperity teachers put it different ways, okay? But one of the things I like about Neville Goddard is, he taught prosperity back in I don't know if it went as far back 1920s, but definitely in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Okay, so way back in the 1930s, maybe in the 1920s. Even if you look at Napoleon Hill, he went way back in the 1930s and 1920s. Even if you look at any spiritual teaching, that goes even farther back. Okay. And it's always, basically studying the nature of the mind, basically studying you reap what you sow, as you believe you receive, so forth and so forth. So kind of, flipping back to these two secrets, or these having a morning routine, bedtime routine, and thinking in the end, meaning act as if, that your desire, your goal, what you want, your dream has already been fulfilled. It's already there. You know what I mean? As you ask, you receive. You know what I mean? As basically what's happening as you ask for it, as you want it, it's already yours. It's already coming. It just hasn't. It's not in physical form yet, but it's basically moving in that direction. That's why we say don't control the how. Don't try to say, oh, it's going to come from this way, or it's going to come from this way. Okay, that's what I mean by that, is you let it go. Now let's go back to our morning routine, bedtime routine. Now let me start with a bedtime routine, because that's the easiest. Okay, then it kind of moves into the morning routine. Okay, and you'll see, as I explain this, you'll see kind of how this can be difficult. It's super easy, but we make it difficult. Okay, so when we go to bed at night, we should be like, think back, probably going to bed in 1930s, okay? There was no TV, okay? There was a radio, but you probably wasn't listening at bedtime. You know what I mean? So when you went to sleep, you just went to sleep. You know what I mean? You weren't listening to anything. We didn't have, smartphones and iPhones and listening to iTunes, listening to music, watching TV all night long. Okay, we just went to sleep. We turned off the lights, went to sleep. We slept in pure darkness, and pure silence. And when we woke up the next day, that was the kind of basically the advantage of if living a long time ago in the 30s and 40s, 50s, the TV started coming out. But with that, what you want to do is when you're getting ready to go to bed, okay, when you actually lay down, getting ready to go to sleep, you imagine your goal. You imagine you already have your goal. You imagine you already have your dream life. You're walking through it in your imagination as you already have it. Okay. Now, it can get deeper than that. You don't want to look as a third person. Sometimes when we dream or sometimes when we think or imagine, we look in as a third person. Like I'm like up here and I'm looking in at Chad's life. Okay. We want to actually be doing it. Okay. As we're imagining. So that's what Neville Goddard started teaching. A lot of prosperity teachers teach it, but they just explain it. They just explain it different, and they think, and they basically try to say that they came up with a concept, but they didn't. None of these concepts I came up with. Really, that's the honest truth. But as you get sleepy, you lay down. You're imagining, before you go to sleep, you're imagining your goal. You're imagining your dream life. You're imagining what you want. Now, I don't know what you want, so I can give you examples. Kind of for me, like right now. I know right now I'm visiting my family. I'm in Ohio, so I'm gonna go back to Thailand. Okay, I'm gonna go back to Thailand for a year. So I want so much money saved or whatever. Or if I work remote, so I might have three things. I'm going back to Thailand. I'm going back for a year, and I'm working remote. So those are three things I want. So when I go to sleep, I'm imagining I'm already in Thailand. I'm already staying where I want to stay. If I want to stay in Bangkok, I want to stay at a certain hotel, certain resort, I'm already imagining I'm there. I'm already imagining I have my remote job working there. Makes sense? I'm already imagining my checking and savings, like exactly where I want them to be. It's already happened. It's already done. Okay, that's the state that I'm in when I go to sleep. Now you go to sleep, okay, then when you wake up, okay, that's where your morning routine starts. Then when you actually wake up, okay, you, besides just jump up, go to work or whatever, you lay there it doesn't have to be a long time, okay? You don't lay there for another 30 minutes. Okay, it might only be 60 seconds. It might be 2 minutes, it might be 30 seconds. But you lay there and you put yourself in that state again, and you imagine the same thing you did at nighttime. You imagine your dream life. You imagine what you want. Now I'm closing my eyes, but you get what I'm saying. You imagine, okay, the end result. Thinking of the end. You already received. You imagine your imagination. So in the morning, I would imagine I'm in Thailand. I'm in the resort I want to live in. I'm working remote. Okay, my checking savings account is the exact amount of money I want to have. It's already happened. I put myself in that state again right in the morning. Okay. Now, why do we do this? Okay. One of the things we have to understand, why is this so powerful? Why is this routine is probably the top two things you can be doing? Okay. Now we have to understand our subconscious mind, okay? During the day, once we're awake, our conscious mind takes over. Our conscious mind is our thinking mind, okay? Our analytical mind, okay? We overthink, we overanalyze, and no matter if you're an overthinker or not, okay, your conscious mind is still your thinking mind. This is what kind of, I'll do this, I won't do this, it kind of, keeps things, it kind of reorganizes stuff. So our conscious mind is in control, okay, during our waking hours. Then as we start to get sleepy, okay, this is why it's so powerful. So listen up. The reason why it's so powerful is at nighttime, when we get in that sleepy state, our conscious mind starts to get sleepy. You know what I mean? Or we start to get drowsy, okay? Our thinking isn't very good, and our subconscious mind takes over, okay? Now, you might not believe this or not, but think if you have kids, for example, or maybe a significant other. Have you ever had, as older you get, you probably had this happen. You ever had someone ask you a question? They wake you up and they ask you a question and you respond to it, but you don't even remember responding to it. Or maybe your kid asks you a question while you're sleepy, or they woke you up, and it's something when you're fully awake, you would always say no. And they ask you when you're sleeping, you're like, oh yeah, you can do it. But you don't remember, because they asked you in that sleepy state. They asked you when your conscious mind is sleepy. You're not thinking straight, okay? So your subconscious mind takes over, okay? Our subconscious mind, remember, our subconscious mind cannot dictate between what's real and what's not real. It cannot dictate between what's reality and what's not reality. That's why when we get in that sleepy state, we put ourselves in the imagination that what we want has already happened. Because when we're thinking about it, our mind thinks it's completely true. Makes sense? And we're doing it at nighttime and we're doing it in the morning. Remember, right when we wake up, we're still in that drowsy state. We're still not fully awake. That's why, like, right when you wake up, you wake up, your alarm either your alarm goes off or you just naturally wake up. You wake up, then you just go right into the imagination and start thinking. Then once you fully start waking up, then you go on with your day. Now, one of the things, those are the two top things. The two top things we have to do, okay? Now, one of the things that's kind of amazing is when I was in Thailand, I told you in the beginning of the video, I did this when I was in Thailand. I got great results in Thailand with this. And most of the time, it was because I really was strict with this routine. I wasn't tempted to turn on the TV because everything was in Thai. So I wasn't living with anybody else, okay? I didn't turn on my phone and listen to music. It makes sense. I mean, sometimes I would listen to YouTube or something like that and turn it off, then go to sleep. But I was really in control of my devices, okay? And I got really, really great results. And what I found is when I did the night routine, once you really fall asleep, this is what's weird, kind of thinking back. Once you really fall asleep in that state and you really fall asleep, like imagining what you want, is you will have experiences where you wake up in the middle of the night. We all kind of wake up in the middle of the night. We all don't just sleep solid through the whole night, every single night. So you will have different experiences where when you wake up, you're just naturally thinking about what you want. You're actually thinking about your goal. You're actually thinking about it. Okay, because you fell asleep in that state. You fell asleep imagining it. So you'll start noticing, you'll start waking up throughout the night thinking about it. Then when you actually get up in the morning, it will actually be kind of a behavior or a natural behavior that you just automatically will start thinking about it in the morning. So in the beginning, you might have to try to remember to do it. So in the beginning, it might be a little bit choppy, but once you kind of get in the routine of it, you will have like little kind of weird experiences with this, and that's when you start knowing like, hey, this stuff really works. Okay. And that's kind of what I experienced in Thailand when I would go to sleep. Then sometimes I would have moments I would wake up in the night and I would automatically be thinking about it. Sometimes I would dream about it because that's the state that I fell asleep in. Then when I woke up in the morning, I would just naturally go into like a little 1 minute imagination. I mean, it was kind of easy once you kind of got into that routine, but you will have, just like with me, like little just, not super weird, scary moments or anything, but you will have, little weird moments where it's like, oh, this stuff does really work. And that's what kind of will start giving you a little bit more experience with kind of paying attention to what you're watching on TV, especially when you're sleepy. Okay. And this is what I'm saying, it's kind of easier said than done, depending upon your habits, depending upon if you're living with other people, depending upon if you have kids, depending upon if you have a significant other, because you might be trying to control not watching TV at night, but your spouse does, or your boyfriend, girlfriend does, or your kids do, and they don't want to turn off the TV. Okay, then you're listening to it, okay? Okay, that's why it's so dangerous to not dangerous, but when you're just playing a movie. Or nowadays it's so, people have like Fire Sticks, people watch Netflix, you watch series on Netflix and it just plays one after another. Then you end up falling asleep and it plays another 3-4 episodes while you're sleeping. But when you're sleeping, your subconscious mind is awake. Okay, no matter if we're aware of it or not, our subconscious mind is awake and we are listening to that. That's why sometimes if you fall asleep to a scary movie, you end up having a scary dream. Or you fall asleep to a TV show and they're talking about something weird and you end up having that type of a dream. Okay, because your subconscious mind is awake. Your conscious mind is pretty much asleep. But your subconscious mind is just taking in all that background noise. Whatever you're listening to is going straight in, okay? And it's not being filtered, okay? Our conscious mind filters stuff, but subconsciously it's just going all straight in. And that's the thing. You're watching dramas. You're watching, I want to say like not so much negative movies or negative TV shows, but TV shows, there's always drama. There's always arguing. There's always bickering. And that's what you fall asleep to. I mean, sooner or later, your life turns into a soap opera. Your life turns into you're arguing all the time. You're bickering all the time because in your routine, you're probably listening to it somewhere or another. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but if you can really do this, if you can really commit to do this and do this the next 30 days, okay, you have to do a length of time. Don't just do it a couple of days. Oh, it doesn't work. Then you really didn't really get even in a routine of it. Really do this and you really will find that you have kind of very unique experiences and you kind of find that it does really work. Now, how fast? Nobody knows. You know what I mean? That's what it means. You can't control the how. You can't sit there and say, well, I'm going to do this for a week. I'm going to get what I want. But nobody knows the how. You can't control the how. I can't control the how. I can't tell you when, okay? But it does work and you will 100% have, little, weird experiences with it. It does work, and, that's what I kind of experienced in Thailand. Like when I really kind of did this and I was by myself and I didn't have the temptation of the TV, anything playing in the background. They had basically in the resort I stayed, they had, here you have the window, they had dark curtains. So when I shut those, turn off the light, it was like super dark in the room, which I kind of got used to. And then you're getting really good quality sleep and I'm not listening to anything. So when I would go to sleep, I would put myself in imagination of a goal, what I wanted at that time. Then that, I would kind of wake up through the night still thinking about it. Sometimes I would dream about it. And not every night, of course. Then when I wake up in the morning, it would be really easy to kind of flip that I'm just naturally thinking about it right in the morning, right when I woke up. So I was in that routine at night. So it's better to start at night than it floats over until the morning. And even in the beginning, you do it at night, you start forgetting to do it in the morning. That's natural. It's going to happen. We're all not perfect, you know what I mean? But it will happen. You will, once you get in a really good night routine to do this, that's why it's great to do it at night. Eventually, it will just be natural in the morning because eventually when you do it right at night, okay, and you do it for several days in a row, maybe you do it a week in a row, you will naturally just think about it in the morning. It won't be so much of a chore to try to remember to do it. Might be a chore to remember to do it at nighttime because you're trying, depending upon your nightly routine, you might be in bad habits. You might watch TV clear up until you're like this. You know what I mean? But once you kind of, basically the whole rule is once you start getting in that drowsy state, we shouldn't be, I don't even have a phone laying around. We shouldn't be listening to music in a perfect sense. We shouldn't be watching TV. We should be more aware of really what's going into our mind at that point. I mean, if you want to be super anal with it. But if you get tired, you happen to fall asleep, you wake up, you turn off the TV, you go to bed. As you go to bed, you sit down. You don't worry about the next day, think about work or whatever. You think about exactly what you want, okay? Exactly how it plays out in your mind, and that's how you go to sleep. But other than that, my friends, it kind of lasts about 20 minutes. But hopefully that helped. I'm trying to, put in, a little bit of an example, but Thailand's a real, that was a time where I really kind of had a very unique experience with it, because before that, I've always lived with, always been in long-term relationships or been married, lived with somebody else. And anytime you live with somebody else, you kind of have to give and take. Sometimes, they're not on very good routines. And if you're trying to, create a different routine than them, sometimes there's a little battle that goes on there. So I understand that. Sometimes when you have kids, sometimes parents don't really have bedtimes for their kid. So they're just staying up and you're constantly hearing iPads go, music playing, they're playing video games. You're constantly hearing stuff in the background while you're trying to sleep. It's best, it's kind of best to try to turn off all those devices. It's healthier anyway, turn off all those devices, get them away from your bed and get them away from kind of where you sleep, and kind of try to sleep in pure silence and imagine kind of what you want. It's even when you don't deal with law of attraction, when you look at just health in general, it's way more healthier. Do I do it all the time? No, that's what I mean. Like, I get in bad habits too. You know what I mean? It's easy to get in bad habits. It's easy to sit there and say, oh, I feel like watching a movie. Then I find myself drifting off to sleep while I'm watching a movie, or I find myself sleeping during the movie or a TV show. We're not going to have it. We're not going to do this perfectly all the time. We're going to drift in and out of good habits, bad habits, and it's going to depend upon who we're with. For example, right now I'm here visiting my mom, and my mom is when she watches TV downstairs, she's in a habit of just she turns on Netflix, a TV show she likes, and goes to sleep. And it just either plays until Netflix shuts off or automatically shuts off, but it will play 3, 4, or 5 episodes in a row. And if that episode's an hour long, it's playing 5 hours in a row until it naturally shuts off, or until I shut it off. You know what I mean? So, there's going to be give and take. It might not be as easy as I say, especially if you live with somebody else. But the biggest thing is, if you do, sit down with a person and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to try. I'm going to do this for the next 30 days, especially if they're in a habit. Maybe you have a TV in a bedroom or something like that. And, they're in a habit of, turning on the TV, watching TV, or watching the news or whatever, and you're sleeping and you're listening to it. Try to get them on board with it, just in case you're in that situation. That's why I told you, like, when I was in Thailand, I was in a resort by myself, a room by myself. Luckily the TV was all in Thai, except a couple channels. So I literally never watched TV there for probably 3, 4, 5 months, almost in a row. Like, I never even hardly turned on the TV until I got a Thai girlfriend, and she started staying with me more. And she was like, why don't you turn on the TV? Like, why, but she started noticing it was in my room. I never turned the TV on. I was like, well, it's all in Thai anyway. So I was such in a habit of not even turning on the TV. Then once she started staying with me, she started turning on TV more. But that's another story. But anyway, it does work, and hopefully that helped. I'm kind of rambling. But those are the 2 top things, with all law of attraction, with all, think of prosperity, all, habits that we can do. Those are the 2 top habits that we can implement in our lives today. But anyway, if this helped, you can follow, like. If you have a question, comment below. If you have experience, you can comment below as well. If you've tried this and it works, I'd like to know your experiences too. Sometimes I forget to say that in my videos. I try to keep it short, sweet, to a point, and on topic. That's why sometimes I jump right in and start talking. But I don't say it so much in my videos. But I love to hear your comments, your stories. What works for you, what doesn't work for you, because we're all human. We all have good habits, bad habits. We all have different experiences. Sometimes we think it works and don't work. So it's a learning experience for everybody. So anyway, I'll see you in the next video.